We had really big chances, especially the double chance we had after, what was it, a minute, 2 minutes, I don't know. But that's how it is. If you have the opponent is a quality side like Tottenham, and you don't close the game, then you can expect, and it happens most of the time, that they come back. But it was intense, and it is intense when you play against these players, and they're set up so defensively, and you will lose one ball, and that's the best counter-attack in the world maybe you can face then. That's really intense. It's physically intense, that's mentally intense, and that's why you have to use the chances when you have them.
I think this was one of the occasions where we got nothing, when we deserve so much to get something. Was probably the best team in the world in the maximum of its potential against the team in a difficult moment. Lots of injuries, important injuries, difficult season, and I think the boys competed in a fantastic way.
What I know about football is if somebody gives you a trophy or something, then it's done. Until then, you have to fight as much as you can, and that's what we do. And so far, so really good.
It certainly is really good. They're the first team ever in the top 5 leagues of European football to win 20 of their opening 21 fixtures in a league season. Extraordinary stuff. Danny, have we ever talked about Liverpool's front three?
Well, I mean, is there an aspect of this Liverpool side we haven't eulogised about, because it's extraordinarily good in every department. Yeah. But the front three deserve credit today, because I think that today they played a little bit differently in terms of their freedom and rotation. They always have a little bit of this, but Mane, Salah and Firmino, we tend to think of Firmino down the middle, Salah on the right and Mane on the left, but today they were all over the place, all three of them, and they caused Tottenham, especially in the first half, all sorts of problems. They played quite narrow at times, which they do, allowing those full-backs to bomb forward, and as the game went on you see it more and more. It's more noticeable, their little link-ups and how close they played together, and what that did is it meant that the Tottenham back four played really, really narrow and gave lots of space for the full-backs to come out, and then Liverpool dominated the game in the first half. This finish, by the way, is exquisite. Yeah. The touch on it, and the strike on his weak foot, that's a man playing with confidence. 5 goals in his last 6. In fact, Firmino was probably the best out of the 3 today. Part of his game, of course, is that tenacity to get back in those positions and win balls back off the midfield's feet and then play into the other 2. And again, you see the 3 of them, width of the 18-yard box, very hard to mark, nearly linking up, super tackle there. And a lot of Tottenham's defending, it was last ditch. Very, very hard to play against this. Look at them, 3 of them. You could throw a coat over them. They're all ready to put the ball in the net from 4, 5, 6 yards out. And it just kept happening. And when you've got these 3 in your team, you don't have to play well sometimes to win games. I mean, Mane over the season's probably been the best of the 3, but today Firmino was the star man, and that front 3 has to be up there with the best in the world.
Oh, unquestionably so. No doubt about that. What are your thoughts on Spurs' performance? Obviously, they've got the problems, like Jose said, with injuries, losing Harry Kane, difficult season, etc. But they fought hard.
Definitely did. Look, Liverpool definitely were dominant for large periods of the game, but I think, in that second half, they came out, Tottenham, and I thought they showed some spirit. Yeah. They were definitely set up in a way. Jose set them up in a way to protect them. Yeah, he's right in terms of they're in a difficult moment, but they've created enough opportunities in this game
especially that one,
to probably nick a draw. In the end, because Liverpool didn't take the chances they should have. You have that feeling that maybe Tottenham should have got something out of it.
I thought it was the right tactics, Jack.
It was the right tactics from and he had some good performances within it as well. Players like Sergio Aurier stepped up today, and Tangana on his debut had a very good performance as well.
Did Spurs complain about a few decisions? They've probably got a point with 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah, as always, there's always something in there for us to talk about. I mean, Mourinho was right. This throw-in was.
But these things they happen.
It's a small detail. You switch on. We all know that. You switch on. You don't start moaning and throwing the ball about. Switch on, do your job. He did talk about them for half an hour, saying they defended throw-ins, but this is the possible handball, and I think Liverpool got a tad lucky here, as Henderson did.
Ali handled it. I think they both probably put a
well, I think it's hit. I mean, it is minuscule.
But with that new law, that means if it leads to a goal, it should be given. And
this is the tackle.
Yeah, and the tackle.
I don't think this is much.
I think if you really kind of look at this, slow it down, he wins the ball first and foremost, and it's almost the outside of Robertson's boot that catches Sergio Aurier. Look, there's the ball. It's the outside of his boot. They're both going for
barely a foul.
Going in for the challenge.
This is a bit cheeky, though, isn't it?
This is cheeky.
Not nasty, but
he should be getting
a
booked
little
for that.
flick.
You know,
Only a flick.
It's still a booking.
It's a bit like Lacazette's one in midweek. He did one similar against Everton. He's just got to sometimes calm himself. I know he's got that fire in his belly, but big European games, he could go for things like that.
Okay, well, it's 3 games without a win in 2020 for Manchester United, including a 3-1 defeat against Manchester City in the Carabao Cup semi-final first leg. Bottom of the table, Norwich arrived at Old Trafford 7 points from safety. Simon Brotherton, watch this one.
Game that we believed that we can win here, and it was maybe really a fantastic, maybe the best performance in away games this season.
Normally we're very, very good defensively, so fundamentally for me we didn't sort of press well enough, and I think overall then we made too many mistakes.
I thought we were fantastic today. Second balls, I felt like we won most of them, and running till the end. We created a lot of chances as well. Most of them fell to me. During the game I thought I'm hitting the bar twice, maybe it wasn't going to happen, but I stuck in there and got a goal.
We didn't want to have revenge. I think we had to. We wanted to show ourselves how far we are now in our development, and this was the only target we had. And I think the guys until the last minute did it, and that was a fantastic win.
It was quite the turnaround, wasn't it? I mean, Southampton have been transformed. They were terrific.
Well, you just got to give Ralph Hasenhüttl and those players just enormous amount of credit, because what they came back from, obviously, with that awful defeat to Leicester earlier on in the season, they've had a good look at each other. They've gone back to kind of the way they were playing when Ralph Hasenhüttl arrived at the football club. A lot of intensity, high pressure, pressing from the front. Leicester just weren't allowed to get into their passing rhythm today, and that was testament to the way that this now Southampton team are organised, the way they're set up. There's an example there, pressing from the front. They want to pass Leicester, they wanted to try and get into their rhythm today, but they didn't allow it. Danny Ings is obviously hot in front of goal. I think you can see here, he tries to put it through Schmeichel's legs, and whether there's something that he picked out with Schmeichel in the way that he is in front of goal, because you'll see later on with one of his finishers, but he was the catalyst, Danny Ings, a lot of the times today. I think you can see in Ralph Hasenhüttl's side that the front players are asked to go and run their socks off, and if their energy runs out, then he replaces them. Great snapshot here from Danny Ings, player playing with a lot of confidence, and he got what he deserved in the end. 10 goals in 10 games, 14 league goals. This guy, he's on fire at the minute, and you can tell when he's in front of goal because he has that calmness now, that composure that you feel like he's going to hit the back of the net. And you can see here, this is the one we're talking about. That's the sighter in the first half. This time it pays off, putting it through Schmeichel's legs, and he gets his team the winner. And you know what, just throughout the whole game, when you're watching it, you're thinking, this Leicester team's good, but for some reason they don't seem to be able to handle the pace, the power, the energy of this Southampton team. It's been revitalised completely in the last few games that I've seen them play, and this was just it was probably their best one of them all. And last minutes of the game, most teams will be dropping off at Leicester, hanging on. Not this team. They're pressing from the front. They're not even letting Leicester come into their half. It was a real complete performance, and we can see here, this is the top 10 sprints within the game, 7 of them Southampton players, and that's just, again, a real clear example of how hard that team's working.
What about Leicester? That's a little bit of a tricky spell. Bad day at the office, or is it anything to worry about?
I don't think so, Gary. Bad day at the office. They played midweek. They had to put a lot of effort and energy into that midweek. They've set the bar ridiculously high with the way they've started the season. They've been tremendous. And I certainly don't think under Brendan there's going to be panic. They've got too many good players. I think they'll be absolutely fine. Don't worry about top 4, Gary. It's all right.
You sure?
Never sure, but
I'm sure.
As confident as you can be.
We'll see. It's more than a year since Liverpool lost in the league, a run that stretches to 37 games. The leaders were in action at Spurs, whose top 4 hopes were dealt a blow this week with the news that Harry Kane is out until April. Jonathan Pearce was at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Not talking about Man United as a very, very hard-working team with the quality of players we've got. That's what I want from my team, and delighted.
It's not nice to lose the game 4-0, but this is what can happen on this level with a side who's still struggling with many injuries, and for that, we are realistic. We know that when you are not switched on in each every moment, this could happen, and for that, of course, we are disappointed today, but it's not like we will give up.
You're happy today. Obviously, you weren't happier earlier in the week. Has it felt at times a little bit like one step forward and 2 steps back?
When you play Man City in a Carabao Cup and they put the strongest team out, you know that you've come places, because that means that they respect us. We're taking more than 2 and 3 steps forward before the 1 step back, because behind the scenes we know that we're doing some good work.
Well, it was a semi-final and there was no Jesus or Aguero, but we'll give him that one anyway. Terrific day for Marcus Rashford, 200 games now. He seems to have been around forever, hasn't he? He's still only 22. It's quite something, isn't it?
He's a super talent. I mean, I have to give Brandon Williams and Mata some respect today, because they both put in really good performances as well. But Rashford was on a different level. He's carrying this team. He's this bit of skill is incredible. He's playing with a confidence and a strut that probably the best run of form he's ever had in a Man United shirt.
Well, he's maturing.
He's maturing. But what was impressive today was his variation in play. I mean, he started on the left. Very rarely was there, by the way. He ended up through the middle, down the right. And he's starting to make so many good chances for others, as well as getting chances for himself. His passing was good, his strength's good, holds the ball up when he needs to out on that left side, doesn't get shaken off the ball, and this type of thing. You know, this ability and skill that he's got around the box to take people on. I mean, considering what's happened to Kane, and we don't know what's going to happen in the Euros, but we've got to keep this lad fit, because he is playing with the confidence of someone who could be brilliant for England in the Euros. 19 goals in all competitions this season. He's firing in shots from everywhere. He's linking the play well as well, which I think is really important. You know, you're not just causing problems in the final third. You're doing your bit when you're coming deep and getting your team out when you're under a bit of pressure. Nearly picks Martial out with that cross. This time on the left, look, doesn't have to take someone on. He's got some good passing range as well. Yeah. Brandon Williams getting forward there, and he dispatches the penalty. Not sure he'd be best pleased with his manager taking him off when he's got a brace, but wrapping him in cotton wool is a good thing for England, that's for sure. And he's got a big week ahead with Wolves and Liverpool, of course. Yeah,
certainly has. Great stuff from Marcus Rashford. 5 games still to come.
Some great football throughout the game. Great passages with chances at the end of them, which should have been really good goals to watch back, but we didn't quite get that. But I have to be pleased. The all-round performance was some really superb football.
We set about it quite well in the first period, and then you give away a penalty, which is not ideal, of course. He does try and pull out, but it's still a penalty. He does make contact. To be honest, the second one, I'm only agree because we all talk about this minimal contact in the box, and yet people get touched on their shoulder and somehow their legs collapse and they get penalties. And if you look in the build-up, James Tarkowski is pushed in the back and then he can't recover to go and try and win the header. Inevitably, Popey should deal with it. He knows that. And that's a really important moment, of course. You know, 2-0's tough.
The question was whether Tammy Abraham touched it or not.
Well, I'm happy he didn't touch it, because obviously it counted, but at the same time it was like, I did the celebration, I was happy, and then when I saw check and goal, I was like, oh no, please not. But yeah, obviously I said I'm happy that it went in, and obviously happy for the 3 points there as well.
The work rate, the speed of pass, and the linking up was great, and it's a standard we set today, because we know we haven't reached that recently at home, and today is something that we need to continue.
Yeah, comprehensive display from Chelsea. Reece James caught the eye. Another young Chelsea player, Jermaine, with bags of promise. If only we had a couple of decent right backs in this country.
Well, you mentioned that. I mean, we've obviously got Trent, we've got Kyle Walker, Trippier. I mean, when I look at him, he's like the hybrid almost between them all. He really is. He's got great delivery. He's got, the pace and the power of somebody like Kyle Walker. He impresses me every time. I see him look at this for a delivery, right on the byline, sticks it right on the money where he knows his main man's going to be Tammy Abraham, but he just doesn't get into these areas of the pitch and panic, ever. He's got composure in front of goal. He always seems to create. He's always an option. And he's just playing so well, really, for Chelsea at the minute. 10 crosses all in all. Look at that. That's what strikers want. They want to know that he's going to be putting the ball where they're going to be attacking it, and it was another great display from him.
Somebody told me he can play on the left as well, so that'll make it interesting, wouldn't it? Tammy Abraham, just a quick question. We saw him score a goal there, degree of doubt that we'll look at later. Given Harry Kane's injury, is he in prime place, or would you perhaps play Rashford there, although he perhaps suited to wide areas a bit better? What do you think?
I personally would go with Tammy through the middle. I think Gareth would favour probably maybe Rashford through the middle. Sterling off the left and Sancho off the right.
I think Tammy's more than capable. I personally, if Kane, God forbid, wasn't to be in the Euros, I'd be knocking on Vardy's door and saying, please come back. Yeah. But Tammy's a super player, and he's always in the right place. He's always in that 6-yard box. Leads the line well, knows the position.
So a lot of it depends on where Rashford wants to play. If Rashford's saying, I want to be the main guy through the middle, then he's probably going to be
I always
playing.
found in my experience, coaches tell you where he's going to play and where it is. But I tell you what, it's nice to have a few choices and options, and there are bags of them, that's for sure. A few incidents to look at that, you know, perhaps Burley wouldn't be happy with. Start with the Willian penalty, definitely contact, but he's kind of shoved his foot in there, didn't he?
Yeah, you'll see it. I mean, I agree with Sean Dyche, really. I mean, he's obviously disappointed in his defender diving in. As soon as you do that, you're giving the referee...
Stay on your feet.
Just here, Willian moves his right knee towards him, makes sure he gets the contact. We see players do that week in, week out, but why has he gone to ground? I know he's trying to pull out, but don't slide in.
Little push. There is a little push.
There is a little push.
Is it enough?
It's not huge. I've seen them given. There was a goal at Crystal Palace against Liverpool, I think it was, when Ayew got the one disallowed for a push. True. Very similar. Not sure. So probably just about got away with that one, Tammy. Again, not sure.
But well worth the victory overall, Chelsea, I think. Yeah. Well, after losing to Liverpool's kids in the FA Cup, Everton fans were demanding a reaction from their team against Brighton, who'd never won at Goodison Park. Martin Fisher was watching.